Day 4 of the Democratic National Convention, Hillary Clinton's big night, and joining us for our roundtable is Tampa Mayor Bob Buckhorn, Susan McManus from the University of South Florida, and Alan Clendenin, the Vice Chair of the Florida Democratic Party. Susan, let me begin with you, because after a bumpy start to this convention, it seems like the Democrats have been on message. Is that your impression?
Absolutely. It's very typical. We've had shaky starts to both conventions, and by the end of the week, which is exactly what you want, crescendo to the absolute peak. And we've been seeing that, even though there's still a little bit of fractiousness with some of the Sanders people. They're still not quite on board. A lot of work to be done there yet.
You know, the Republicans are boasting about the fact that in the polls lately in Florida, it seems that Trump has taken a lead. Is that for real in your opinion, or what do you make of it?
I'm a little leery of polls right now. Some of them have done with very small sample sizes, and it's a very volatile era, and the polls are back and forth, back and forth. No surprise, Florida's a 1% state. Whoever wins Florida wins by a narrow margin. So the polls, I think, are just reflective of the back and forth of exactly where we are in Florida right now.
And Mayor, of course, we live on the I-4 corridor here. We keep on hearing it every presidential election season about how crucial this is to who wins, who loses Florida. What is your sense this year, comparing it to 4 and 8 years ago?
Well, my sense is we're a purple state, and it's always going to be tight. The road to the White House starts in Sarasota and ends in Daytona Beach on that I-4 corridor. I think we're in good shape, but we're going to have to do what we did in certainly 08 and then again in 12, which is go out and identify those undecided voters, put a field organization in place that is unparalleled, which is obviously what President Obama did, and go out there and knock on those doors and tell those stories to our neighbors that are undecided and get people to the polls. That's what wins these elections.
And Alan, the big question is down ballot races also, because we have congressional races, state Senate races. With the polls so tight, are you concerned that it may not bring along other Democrats who are running for office?
I'm not concerned because, as the mayor just highlighted, this campaign is going to have an unprecedented presence in Florida. They are building out operations, not just in the I-4 corridor, which we are in a very big way, but all across the entire state of Florida. So that type of a field operation, the type of attention that Florida is going to get, is going to that rising waters is going to lift a lot of boats. And I think we're going to see a lot of really good surprises when we wake up after Election Day this November.
Where are we at in terms of the Bernie folks? Obviously, they made their case on Monday. My impression in the hall last night is that there was no shouting, no riots. So the vast majority of Bernie supporters, do you believe that they're on board at this point?
I think most of them are. I mean, you know, I've lost campaigns before. I know how long it takes for those hurt feelings to subside. But I think ultimately they're going to be faced with a simple choice. The choice is wake up on that Wednesday after the Tuesday with a headline that says President Donald Trump, or elect a woman that you may not agree with entirely, but is far better than the alternative. I think they're going to come into the fold. We need their enthusiasm. We need their energy, Alan. And so I am hopeful that after this convention is over, tomorrow morning, all of us will lead, ready to go out and execute on the plan and go win.
We're still hearing rumors that there will be another dump of emails from WikiLeaks embarrassing to the Democratic Party. Susan, if that did happen, would that step on the messaging and the bump potentially that Hillary could get out of this convention?
Well, there's always that potential, and I think some of the concern is the fact that, yes, it's true that the Sanders people inside the hall are starting to be won over, but the question is, what about the ones that were the movement in the streets? That's a different matter. We don't know how they're going. We do know, and we've seen here, that the Green Party candidate, Jill Stein, has been circling and trying to recruit the Sanders people to her campaign. It's a little unknown at this point, but it is true, as the mayor said, that Sanders voters coming into the fold are a very, very important part of the Democrats' victory plan in Florida and across the country.
Does that even itself out? Because obviously there are still Republicans who are never Trump.
Parallels in both parties. I think you've seen it, the most unusual election in our lifetime, right? You know, you have disenchantment on both sides of the aisle, and that's why you've seen the rise of the Sanders campaign and the Democrats and the never Trump people on the other side. People are just really looking for something different, a certain portion of it, and that's going to be now the message. After you leave the convention unified, you have to also then redirect towards the disenchanted and figure out ways to bring them into the poll, because the convention bump is a bump. There's a long time between now and November 8th.
You know, that WikiLeaks issue, though, is becoming a major theme here. You have top Democrats talking all morning about, or raising the question whether Paul Manafort or Trump has anything to do with the Russian government and the hacking of the email. You know, Alan, what's your impressions of that?
Well, that entire issue is absolutely, completely outrageous. And every day that I wake up and I think that, you know, it just couldn't get any more outrageous on the other side than it is today, I get surprised. And when you have a leader of a major political party in the most powerful country on earth behaving and acting the way that man has been behaving throughout this entire process, even amongst the group of folks that were competing for the GOP nomination, I think it's appalling, and I think the GOP needs a lot of work, and they have to do something to fix this for the good of this country.
You know, but Mayor, as you said yourself, this is a purple area. Not only is the state purple, but Hillsborough County is purple, and I think we both know a lot of people in Hillsborough County, Manatee, and Sarasota. They're with Trump no matter what happens and what he says.
Yeah, but I think also, and you know, as a mayor, I tend to be a little less partisan and more practical. I have a lot of folks on the Republican side that have said to me, I don't like Hillary Clinton, but I can't stomach the idea of a President Trump. And they will quietly come over and vote for Hillary Clinton because they can't leave our country and their kids and grandkids stuck with a guy who clearly is not prepared, intellectually or otherwise, for this office. And so, you know, Hillary's not everyone's cup of tea. I mean, we get that. She is an acquired taste for some. But no one can deny that she's the most prepared candidate that's ever stepped foot into this arena, and that the alternative is far worse on any number of fronts.
So expectations for tonight. Hillary is following an incredible address by President Obama last night, Joe Biden, maybe Tim Kaine, Michelle Obama. She's not known for her oratory excellence, so what does she have to do tonight, Susan?
She just has to be on that stage and be dynamic and tell what she's going to do as president and how much she cares about women and children and the future of this country. And absolutely the history-making element of her candidacy is enough for a lot of people themselves who are wavering in a bit, maybe especially women voters. It's a compelling story. So I think that whether she is at the same level of a speaker, the bottom line is she's going to be the nominee, the first woman nominated to the presidency of any major party.
All right. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to the events for tonight. And we'll be back in just a moment.